be sure to follow my Twitch over at twitch.tv/Daltnix. Thank you. With the March 5th update being out for about a week and a half now, I figured it was time to go over some guns and tell you guys what I personally believe are the best guns in the game right now. So I'll be giving you a list of 14 guns that I feel you will succeed very well with if you use them in PvP. Now, I might have forgot one or two. Let me know down in the comments what you're using right now, but let's get into it. All right, gun number one is the Amit. The Amit is a very strong precision rate of fire auto rifle firing at 450 RPM. And fortunately enough, this is a very easy gun to get. You can actually get this from a quest from the Enclave if you haven't already, to make it so you can craft it, making it super easy to get a god roll and arguably the best gun in the game for new players. The Amit has some good perk options as well. In the first column, you have dynamic sway reduction as well as surplus. In the second column, you have tap the trigger, incandescent, and gut shot, which are all pretty decent. I personally like incandescent because, you know, you like to see stuff blow up. The Amit is pretty forgiving, more of a spray weapon. 450 auto rifles are really good right now. Overall, just a fantastic pick and super easy to get. All right, next up on our list is No Time to Explain. This is a high impact pulse rifle firing at 340 rounds per minute. You get this pulse rifle from completing the Beyond Light campaign, so super easy to get. And the exotic perk is Time Slip. So how this works is you get a stack for every headshot you hit. When you hit 10 stacks, it will spawn this little buddy next to you. He will shoot at people while you're shooting. And this thing is crazy. When you have this thing active, it makes it really hard to lose a 1v1. And overall, it is just so good. I love this pulse rifle. I find the game is the easiest, whether I play trials or sixes, when this pulse rifle is equipped. It's really good, especially for M&K players. It has a whopping speed of 0.6 seconds time to kill if you hit your 2 burst. And with the little time slip buddy, it is so easy to hit a 2 burst. I really do recommend you give this one specifically a try if you haven't already. Now, the next gun is the Summoner. You get this from the Trials of Osiris playlist. I believe it will actually be the adept weapon this weekend if you're watching at the release of this video. Now, this auto rifle has a lot going for it. In the first column, it has perks such as Heal Clip, Elemental Capacitor, Zen Moment, Dynamic Sway Reduction, and Perpetual Motion, which are all fantastic. And in the second column, you have things like Tap the Trigger, Kill Clip, Onslaught, and Golden Tricorn, which are all fantastic killing perks, as well as Incandescent if you really want to go that route. So realistically, it's honestly kind of hard to get a bad roll on this. Personally, I would go with probably Zen Moment or Dynamic Sway Reduction with Kill Clip or Onslaught. But realistically, you can use whatever you want on this thing and it will shred. The next up on the list is Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon is a 140 rate of fire hand cannon. You acquire Hawkmoon from Zur currently. You can buy it from him with an exotic cipher. Now, 140s in general aren't in the greatest spot in the meta right now, but Hawkmoon is so strong, it doesn't even really care. Hawkmoon's exotic perk is Paracausal Shot. So what this perk does is every time you hit a headshot, you get a stack. And then at the end of the magazine, your last bullet will do bonus damage depending on how many stacks you have. If you have 6 or 7 stacks, it actually makes it so Hawkmoon can 1-tap, which is super strong. But honestly, something that's even stronger about Hawkmoon is the fact that if you have 4 stacks or higher, you can actually 2-tap with Hawkmoon, which getting 4 stacks is super easy. And when you get to a 1 stack, it makes this caw noise, which is super cool, but it kind of indicates to everybody that you have a 1-shot if they're listening. But the 2-shot, people don't see it coming very often. It is super strong. Hawkmoon actually has random rolls, even though it is an exotic, which Zur brings a different one every single week, so you just kind of gotta wait until he gives you a good one. The perks that I would be looking for are Opening Shot and Eye of the Storm. Moving Target's pretty good too, but I think Opening Shot and Eye of the Storm are by far the best picks. Eye of the Storm would be the one that I would go with personally to help you out more in gunfights. But overall, Hawkmoon is a fantastic pick, especially with the way the games are playing a little bit slower now. And if you are enjoying the video, please remember to like and subscribe, as it does help out with the channel a lot. All right, thank you. Back to the list. Next gun on our list is Prospector. This is a 450 rate of fire auto rifle. You get it from the first encounter of the Prophecy Dungeon. This auto rifle has been sort of making waves, and it's understandably why. This thing is fantastic. 450s are really good, and it's got some really good perk combos on it, given it has Keep Away and Zen Moment in the first column. And then in the second column, it has Tap the Trigger and Golden Tricorn. It also does have Target Lock, but Target Lock really isn't as good as people seem to think it is anymore. It helps a little bit with the forgiveness, but it doesn't shift your TTK anymore. I personally would prefer a damage perk or keeping my gun more stable, but Target Lock is there if you so choose. Its Origin trait crossing over is really good as well, giving you increased range and handling at the top half of the magazine and a little bit of extra damage at the bottom. Overall, just a fantastic auto rifle, super stable. You can never go wrong using this thing. Ace of Spades is our next weapon on this list. It's a 140 RPM hand cannon. You get it from the exotic kiosk from the tower from using an exotic cipher. This hand cannon pretty much does everything you'd want. Again, it's a 140, which 140s are kind of right now, but it doesn't really matter because after you get a kill to proc Memento Mori, its exotic perk, it pretty much turns it into a glorified 120 rate of fire hand cannon that just shoots faster. Ace of Spades pretty much does everything you'd ever want for a hand cannon, such as high caliber rounds. Firefly is nice for some AoE. It has third eye on it, so you get your radar when you aim down sights. And then obviously Memento Mori, an infinite kill clip as long as you don't stow the weapon. It's just the cherry on top. This thing is fantastic, has some crazy range with 85 on it, and overall just a great pick. Next up on the list is Conditional Finality. This is the only special weapon I have on this list just because of how strong it is. You get it from the Root of Nightmares raid. It can possibly drop at the end of the raid completion. So for some people, it might be the hardest gun on this list to get, depending on if you raid or not. So how this exotic shotgun works is the first shot that fires out of it is stasis and can freeze targets if you hit all your pellets. And then the second shot is solar, which will ignite targets. Overall, fantastic. It's a super consistent shotgun as well as has the ability to counter wells and bubbles, which are still really strong in this meta, especially for Trials of Osiris. And overall, this is just a fantastic, consistent shotgun. And it can get you some pretty crazy double kills here and there as well. Next up on the list is Positive Outlook. This is another 450 rate of fire auto rifle. This auto rifle's base stats are really good, and it has a lot of perks to go over. So in the first column, we're going to be looking at Zen Moment, Tap the Trigger, as well as Dynamic Sway Reduction. I think Zen Moment's probably the best, but the other two are really good as well. And then in the second column, I would recommend Kill Clip or Golden Tricorn, or depending on what subclass you're running, I think Elemental Capacitor is pretty good too, but I think the top dog here is Kill Clip. When you get Kill Clip procced on this thing, it absolutely just shreds. This gun has an amazing origin trait with Omlon Fluid Dynamics, just overall buffing the top half of your magazine. Just super good. I love this auto rifle. I know personally I was fortunate enough to get a Zone Moment Kill Clip one, and it is just so good. I do recommend if you find yourself in the Strike playlist to focus this gun and give it a shot. Next up on our list is the Messenger. This is a 340 RPM pulse rifle, so a high impact frame. You get this from the Trials of Osiris playlist, and it's got some crazy stat packages as well as some really good perks. In the first column, you're going to be looking for Perpetual Motion, Rapid Hit, or Moving Target. And then in the second column, you're going to be looking for Head Seeker, Kill Clip, Desperado, or Keep Away. I personally believe for consistency, Head Seeker is the winner here, and for your kill perks, I personally like Desperado, but I know a lot of people like Kill Clip as well. I know what you're going to be saying. What about the Relentless? That's the new pulse rifle. I do think it is a fantastic pulse rifle, but the base stats of the Messenger are overall just better. You can get an Adept, so you can get an Adept mod for it. And overall, I think Messenger is just the king of legendary pulse rifles. It is super good, fantastic perks for whatever you want. Definitely go out and get one if you don't have it. Next up is the Adjudicator SMG. This is a 600 rate of fire SMG you get from the Cube Encounter in the Prophecy Dungeon. It's got some pretty good perks on it with Dynamic Sway Reduction, Perpetual Motion, as well as Rangefinder in the first column. And then in the second column, you have things like Fragile Focus, Onslaught, and Target Lock, which are all really good in their own right. Onslaught is great for kill chaining. Target Lock helps with your easy use a little bit and will lower your TTK against low resilience Guardians. Only really going to affect Hunters for the most part. And then Fragile Focus is a great range buff that you can get along with it. Obviously, Dynamic Sway Reduction and Perpetual Motion are both good perks in their own right, but honestly, I think Rangefinder really helps out with this SMG. Rangefinder still does help the way your gun feels, as well as will help with visual recoil a little bit. The Origin trait is super good, giving you extra range and handling on the top half of the magazine and getting a little extra damage on the bottom half. Overall, just a fantastic SMG. The range you can get is pretty absurd, and overall, definitely a fantastic gun. All right, the next gun on our list is Centrifuge. This is another 450 auto rifle. They are really strong in this meta currently, and Centrifuge is no exception. What this exotic does is sliding, sprinting, and firing this weapon will temporarily build up a charge. Now that charge will increase your range and reload speed, as well as when you have a max charge, when you eliminate a target, it will actually cause them to explode and blind all the enemies around. Now this explosion does a decent amount of damage. I find myself when I use this gun getting a lot of double kills, even triple kills. And the exotic gets even better if you run an arc subclass with the catalyst. While amplified, this weapon grants its overcharge. So pretty much you're not going to lose your overcharge and you're going to gain it a little bit slowly, even if you're not moving. And overall, it's fantastic. I don't think you need to be running an arc subclass to really utilize this gun, but it definitely does help if you build into it a little bit. Overall, I think this gun is fantastic and I love using the Centrifuge. Next up on the list is Vex Mythoclast. This is a 360 rate of fire auto rifle. Technically, it is a fusion rifle, but it is essentially an auto rifle. You get this from the Vault of Glass raid from defeating Atheon, the raid boss, as a random drop. Overall, this is a super good auto rifle. Kills pretty quick. It is pretty forgiving. The Catalyst gives it a damage perk, which makes it overall just a super deadly pick, making it have a 0.67 TTK. And then if you can build it into it even further with Warlocks or the Artifact mod this season to make it so you can get Radiant really easily, this thing is a monster. And to top it all off with the cherry on top, after getting 3 eliminations with it, you can turn it into a linear fusion, which the linear fusion is super forgiving. It is super easy to hit the headshots with it. And because it is still classified as a primary gun, when you get eliminations with the linear fusion mode, it actually helps you get special ammo back. Which just overall, it's a fantastic gun. I love Vex. It's one of my favorite guns to use in quick play. It can still do well in trials, of course, but quick play, just getting all the kills, getting linear fire mode, it's just so good. Dead Man's Tale is a fantastic scout rifle, 120 RPM. You get it from doing the Presage exotic mission when it's up in rotation, and you can get a craftable version. Now, this scout rifle is one of the few weapons that can 2-head 1-body any resilience, making it fantastic for longer maps. The hipfire is pretty accurate, making it good for close range engagements if need be. And then it is craftable, so it does get some rolls on it. So I personally believe Moving Target and Vorpal Weapon are both fantastic picks of this gun. Overall, just a super fun and enjoyable gun to use, and great for bigger maps. Now, last and certainly not least, Igneous Hammer. I'm sure all of you saw this one coming. It's a 120 RPM hand cannon. You get it from Trials of Osiris. This thing is a monster. It's got some crazy stat packages, and the perk pool is really good as well. In the first perk column, you have Rapid Hit and Keep Away. Keep Away is better in my honest opinion, but I know Rapid Hit's pretty good as well. And then in the final column, it has some good perks, but there's only really one perk you're really going to be looking for in this current meta, and that's Precision Instrument. So every 120 hand cannon can 2-head 1-body people who are 6 resilience and lower. So if they have 7 resilience, they'll live that. But Precision Instrument pretty much just throws that out the window and just says, screw that, I'm just going to 2-head 1-body anyway, even if they are higher resilience, just because of the extra damage. And that's why I think it is the clear winner. Getting a free forgiveness perk, essentially, making it so you can almost always 2-head 1-body people in your given range, and Igneous has, you know, just a little bit of range if you've ever used it, is pretty crazy. This gun is a monster, in my opinion. It is the best gun you can be using for Trials of Osiris. Its team shotting is fantastic. You can outgun auto rifles, giving you actually, you know, peak fire. Some situations it's a little hard to do that, but this gun is so good, and everybody knows when you're playing against 3 stacks that are using 3 of these things, it is really hard to outplay them when they're using it correctly. Igneous Hammer is just so good, and if you really want to get like flawless or try super hard, this is the gun I do recommend you use. It gets adapt mods. I can't talk up Igneous Hammer enough. This gun is crazy. And that is the 14 guns that I think are the best in the current meta of the Crucible after the March 5th update. Now, I probably missed a few guns, so like I said, let me know down in the comments what you're using, what you're having success with. Thank you so much, and have a good day.